Welcome, everybody, to the first ever podcast, the Crossed Up podcast, where we look at the interaction between athletics and Christianity. And our first ever guest is the man, the myth, the legend, Coach Russ Davis, Hall of Famer. Coach Russ, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, JJ. How are you?
You know, I'm hanging in there. It's another day. It's a great day to be alive. So
yeah, always.
Absolutely. So I understand you just got out of practice about 30 minutes ago. How did practice go today?
We got better. That's the key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So obviously tough loss last Saturday. Not going to harp on that at all, but heading into the GSAC
I'm glad we're going to have that on film.
Especially heading into the GSAC tournament.
Yeah.
Likely going to have to play against Menlo. Tough matchup at Menlo, depending on how, obviously, first round events go. But finishing second in GSAC, no small feat. Congratulations on that, by the way. But just what's the mindset for you guys heading into GSAC?
You know, I think that we've played them twice. I mean, they still have to be, we have 6 teams in the tournament and we get a bye, so they still have to, you never know if they look past their first round opponent because they beat them twice and, look for us. But I think it's always hard to beat somebody 3 times, especially twice on their home court, hosting a tournament, so that's a big advantage. But I told my team today, I go, that's not really a disadvantage for us. It's an opportunity to be in that situation where we can try to perform before we head out to nationals.
Absolutely. Obviously, you're guaranteed essentially a spot in the national tournament. It's the first time you guys have been in a few years now, but just for you guys, you're a staple in the national tournament after all these years. So for you, understanding that that is the standard, what is it like to push your players, understanding that there is a standard to be met?
Well, we went 2 years ago. We didn't go last year. That was the first time we didn't go in like 20 years or so. Mm-hmm. So that was rough. So we, we're gonna right here. So we break it down our season to like non-conference, conference, and then postseason. Mm-hmm. So we try to, in non-conference we try to play games and learn lessons to get ourselves ready for conference. And then in conference, we try to perform well and do that and get us ready for postseason. So when postseason starts, we always have the GSAC tournament. We've earned that bye, and we're going to go up there Wednesday night, and Thursday we're going to watch the teams play. So it's kind of like a national tournament vibe where you go watch some teams play before you play sometimes. And so it'll be like a rehearsal for that. Mm-hmm. But we also want to do well there for many reasons. But one is we want to make sure we get a high seed for the national tournament. We are, one of the teams. I think this is since I've been, my 27 years, I think this will be our 25th national tournament appearance. So I'm proud of that for our team and our players that have played here. Obviously, I have a lot of experience.
I remember you came and spoke to us my freshman year here during that COVID year where you gave us some words of wisdom heading into that national tournament. So I'm forever appreciative of that, just having that understanding of, someone who's made the national tournament over 90% of the time since you've been here. That's no small feat at all. So absolutely, much congratulations to you. But I want to get into your coaching style. Obviously, times have changed a lot over the years. You mentioned being here 27 years. What is the biggest difference, for better or for worse, in terms of like how you've had to coach your players?
Well, to be honest with you, JJ, I haven't really changed that much. Mm-hmm. I tell people when we recruit them that, my job is to get you to be the best, basketball player, the best person as possible. And we, as you know, because you know several team members, we have outstanding young women on our team that come in with, they're just amazing, so we don't have to really worry about changing anybody too much. We just got to, my job is just to equip them and get them ready for life skills. Basketball is obviously important to them, but it's not who they are, it's not their identity, it's just something they do. Mm-hmm. And they also know that when we come here, it's important that we always put God first, mm-hmm. and we put our family second, mm-hmm. and then we put, academics third, mm-hmm. and then we put character and our faith building and, mm-hmm. fourth, and then basketball comes fifth. Mm-hmm. So I think if you have a God and you have your family 1 and 2, mm-hmm. then you have a good base. You notice I didn't say social media or those other things that boyfriends or whatever, right? That's past the list here. Yeah. So Yeah, so they know that coming in, and they know that I'm going to push them, and most of them, that's why they want to come here. So they know up front, like, I want to get everything out of you.
Yeah.
And you're going to be held accountable to make sure you do the right things. Because when you leave here, and unless you're your own boss, I want somebody I want that person.
Yeah.
Because they're going to show up on time. They have an unbelievable work ethic. They're a team player.
Yeah.
All those things. So that's important for me. So when they leave here and they have that, then I feel like I did my job.
Absolutely. You mentioned you haven't really changed your coaching style. With the players, have you noticed any changes in terms of like how the players respond to that type of coaching? Because I know that's a hot topic nowadays. Is it's not old school anymore, and so I just wanted what's the balance for you in terms of you not changing? Because obviously your way works, it's successful, just given your track record, but also in terms of understanding that these players have to conform to you a little bit as well. So I just want to hear about, that balance for you.
Well, sometimes that's a challenge. So we try to have weekly meetings, especially the first semester. The second semester, it's like, hey, if you have anything you want to meet about, let's meet. Otherwise, then we're good. Just do check-up updates with that, because, I always want people to know their role and where they're at. So they're not sitting on the bench going, am I going to play today? Or what's going to happen? Because that's hard. That's a hard mindset to have, not knowing when you're going to go in. Or if you get the opportunity to play and all of a sudden last second, then you're out there, right?
Yeah.
So, I think they appreciate my honesty. I tell them exactly where they are and where they need to be, or why they're not playing, or why they are playing. Being involved in the youth club stuff, high school age kids, that I see a lot of the issues they have. Because they have a lot of people getting in their ears. And a lot of times when you go to college, you're the best player on your team. And so now when you get here and when you don't play as much, some people, that's embarrassing to them. It really is, and it's hard to take, and it sometimes takes a while. So you have to have the right mindset, and they have to understand what they have to do. And that's why I think it's really, really important when you're honest with them in the recruiting aspect of it. Like, this is where I see you. These are your weaknesses. And you know what I also do? Let's say if I was trying to get you to come to Vanguard, first of all, I don't ever talk to anybody into coming. I want them to want to come here.
Yes.
Because otherwise, then it's going to be a maintenance thing, making sure they're happy all the time. And I want them to want to come here. But sometimes, it could be like their friends or parents or teammates that get in their head, like, I don't know why coach isn't playing you, and you should be playing. You're better than that person. And then we become like that show Survivor.
It's a great show.
We really do. I know, but it's like, so what you try to do is you try to form alliances, and you try to vote people out.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And girls know this. Yeah. They're the worst at that, because drama is a big thing. We have two simple standards: don't let your teammates down, and no drama. Yeah. Because drama will run right through a team, and it's run through a few of our teams in the past, but we're really right on top of that, because I think team chemistry is the most underrated thing in team sports.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jenna, no drama. Okay.
Yeah.
Behind the camera, we have Jenna. She's doing a great job, and just no drama.
She looks like an expert over there to me.
Hey, she's doing a great job, even though she just learned, 10 minutes ago what to do. But yeah, you mentioned the foundation that you were trying to build, and obviously no drama. All these things are really tying into that Christ-like mindset. So I just want to hear just a little bit about your story, like how you came to Christ, and just just a little bit more about you and how that formed your foundation.
Well, that's a good story. Actually, it was quite a while ago now. It's about 30 years ago. And I think I remember how old I was, but I was 30 years younger. Okay. And my friend, who's also a coaching friend of mine, would keep, and her family were like, hey, come to church. And she would call me on Saturday night and Sunday, blah, blah. And I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
Nah. I got, I got to do this and that.
Yeah.
So, and then she finally, I one of the Saturday nights she called, and I just happened to be home, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll go. Maybe if I go, she'll stop bugging me, right? Yeah. So then I went, and I go in there, and it was like the pastor was talking about the World Series in baseball, and I'm like, wait a minute, because I'm a sports guy. I love all sports. Yeah. I think you know that. So it's like, I'm like, wait, I can go to church and they're talking about sports. This is all right. I can hang here, right? And then, then it's funny because, but before that, I've been to church before, not like regularly, but like, but just special occasions like Easter and Christmas Eve and, things like that, that everybody could get dragged to go in there, and I'm the guy that's looking at, I got 10 more minutes, suck it up, right? And because I think that I'm just brutally honest. So then I'm here and I'm like, man, it was really weird because I wasn't really looking at my watch. I was like enjoying what was happening, and I feel like he was literally just talking to me.
That's awesome.
So and then we went, get through that, and everybody's excited that I came, and I'm like, they're like, well, let's go to dinner. Let's go to lunch. So we went to lunch, and all of a sudden they gave me this Bible. I'm like, oh wow, they're going hard. They're going hard on me. And a Bible with my name on it, and they're like, what are you doing tonight? There's a Sunday night service. I'm like, listen, that was a pretty good thing I just went to. Now you want me to go twice in one day? I go, let me think about it. Oh, tonight's funny because it's just going to be a lot of worship and singing, and it's more relaxed. You don't have to dress up and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, all right, I'm committed. I'll go another time. So then I went. And I'm like, wow, this is a lot of fun. And I'm up. Next thing you know, I'm looking at the words up there, and I'm singing these songs, and I'm like, and then they say like, they do an altar call out there, and if you think, but before that they started talking about things like, if you think, and I'm like, somebody told him, like, I think they're talking about me. It was really weird how it hit me, like, okay, somebody, like, how does he know this, right? It was Orange County Christian Church over there in Santa Ana, and they did an altar call, and then, like, I just felt like, or they asked a question like, does anybody feel like this is you? Raise your hand. So I raised my hand, and I didn't know they're not setting me up, but they're paying attention who raised their hands, so then they could really, get to you, right? Say get to you is probably a bad phrase, but you know what I'm saying, get my attention, okay. So then they said, hey, come on up, and I'm like, it was really weird. I just walked up there because they wanted to pray for us, right? So I'm like up there, and I had, I don't know, 10 people laying hands on me, and then I just like felt this automatic experience, and they're like, and it was just like I was transformed.
That's awesome.
It was crazy, and I'm like, what just happened to me? And it was just really, really, really weird, But it was like, I felt like I just lost like, a lot of weight and a lot of pressure off me. Like I was like, I realized later that I was saved, but I didn't realize at the time what was happening to me, right? And then it just kind of started from there. I started going more often, and I started getting more comfortable, and I'm like, okay, then I'm asking all these questions, like, what do I do now? So that's just kind of how it started. But the funny thing is how I even got to that point. I was coaching Estancia High School, and I was at practice, before I became a Christian, I would say I had a little bit of a potty mouth, right? And so when I got mad, I would use like, I didn't realize I was doing this, but I would use like the Lord's name in vain, but I didn't know it was a bad thing because that's what I kind of grew up with. So I'm just thinking, I'm not saying like the real dirty words, like it's not as bad. But one of my players, Jennifer Brazel, I'll never forget it. She asked me if she can talk to me after practice. And I go, sure. So she comes to my office right there in the gym, and she's like, hey, Coach, first of all, I want to tell you, like, you're the best coach I ever had. You're an amazing coach and all this, but there's something that you do that really bothers me. And I'm like, this is the sweetest girl, right? And I go, well, what's that, Jen? She goes, when you get like mad at us because we're not hustling or whatever, you use, or we're not playing good, you use the Lord's name in vain. And I'm like, what do you mean? She says, well, you say this, and I'm like, oh, really? I didn't even realize it because I didn't know that. I'm like, well, I'm thinking that I'm not saying all this crazy stuff that gets bleeped out, right? I'm thinking I'm doing a good job, and then I'm like, oh, I don't want to disrespect anybody. So then it was her sister that kept talking me into going to church. Right, Connie. So then I went, and that's all happened. So then I'm like, well, how do I get rid of this body mouth? I just got to pray about it. Ask the Lord to help you. And then, I think I maybe slipped once or twice since then in 30 years.
Wow.
But it's just crazy how that just went away like almost instantly because then I'm praying about things and I'm seeing them happening. It's like Lord really wanted to help me get through that because then I was getting attacked from the other side. I didn't know what was happening, but I was literally getting attacked from the other side. So it's a pretty cool story.
That's awesome.
So it's longer than that, but we're going to do the 5-minute version.
Hey, that's still.
I don't want our camera for somebody to fall asleep.
That's still awesome though. No, there's no way you can fall asleep during that because that is.
Yeah,
That's really
pretty impactful.
Awesome.
Crazy.
to say the least.
And now I'm absolutely a prayer warrior.
Yeah.
And what I learned too, when people ask, like when you tell somebody you're going to pray for them, you do it.
Yeah.
You don't just say that just to say it.
Yes.
You know, so many people are like, oh yeah, I'll pray for you. And like,
Then they forget.
oh yeah, you should see, I have like notes and notes and notes and papers of people that I pray for every morning. I spend about 45 minutes doing that.
You mentioned some of the things about how Christ has shaped the way you coach, you know, some of the foundations. We put everything on airplane mode except for the one thing in the back that's awesome. You are definitely creative. All the sets, like when I'm on the broadcast, I geek out because I see all these unconventional sets where you have the gate on one side with 3 players shoulder to shoulder, then you have one person just on the back side, then you had that little orbit play that was going on, and I was just like...
What about our sideline? We had 4 people on the side, looked like they're out of bounds.
Yeah, and it was just like...
That's when you can't sleep at night, you come up with things.
Yes, because, I mean, I'm not at that level yet, but there's some times where I was just like, if something just hit me, and I was just like, oh, that'd be interesting to see, you know, like a little rub play here or there, but do you think that your creativity, it was just came natural, or like God really like touched on you? Like what really like came about for your plays to be that creative?
I think it started when I was a kid. Like I used to go, when I was a kid, my dad is a sports junkie. Like we used to go to Laker games. Back then, you know, UCLA men's basketball was great because John Wooden was there. I mean, and then I've had 2 amazing mentors in my life. I mean, I don't know if anybody has. I mean, my first mentor was John Wooden, who's, you know, because I played high school basketball with his grandson. So, you know, I mean, that's probably the most successful coach, the best coach in the history of all sports. That was my really first mentor when I first started coaching back in 1979, because he just retired. And my last main mentor was Kobe Bryant. So. And he helped me through some things. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've had some good mentors, but along the way, before those things, I mean, or during the middle, I watched a ton of sports. Like, you know, going back to growing up, we had season tickets to Rams, and we had really good seats and like 10 rows up. So I'm watching everything. My eyes are really good. My girls will tell you, like, I see everything on the court. So it's like, I don't really have to watch, I mean, I watch film, but I don't have to because I have like a photographic memory for that. Now I wish I had it for everything else, but for sports I do, you know, and I could just like, and they'll tell them like, they'll say something like, oh, you know, I was there. I go, no, you weren't. Yeah. And they'll watch film, I go, see, I told you. Yeah. Like, how'd you see that? Well, I see things. Yeah. So like when I'm watching, I see, like when I watch films, I see people's deficiencies. And I've always been that coach that says, we gotta find out what this team's strengths are and what their weaknesses are. And we want to steer them away from their strengths and force them into their weaknesses. Yeah. I'm thinking somebody's gonna have my mindset. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why that I've been very successful as a coach. You know, I'm really proud that in my 43 years coaching, I've never had a losing season. Yeah. You know, all the other stuff that's come along the way, that's great, but like, I hate losing.
Yes.
I hate it, you know, and I don't want, I wasn't happy going into practice today, you know, because we lost. And I went through and told them all the reasons why we lost, and, you know, we're going to get better for that. And we did get better. Yeah. You know, it was a little stern conversation, but they all knew they needed that, and they heard it, and they responded. I'm so proud of how my team responded today. I think you have to be creative, because if you coach this long and people watch your stuff, you know, then they're going to be, they can take it away and it can be easy at that. Yeah. We didn't adjust to them switching screens on us the other night very well. We stood, you know, so we got back in, like, that's our office. Yeah. We got back in, we fixed that today. That's awesome. We're not going to be in there again doing that, you know. Yeah. So it's like, you learn from your mistakes, and you know what? We didn't play well the other day, give Hope credit, but when we don't play well, you know, that's ultimately on me, I'm the coach. Now, could they have played better? Yeah, and I could have coached better, looking back at it. Yeah. Okay, but I think you have to be creative nowadays, and I think girls like that. Yeah. You know, one thing I do, JJ, after I put something new in, I would say, do you guys like that? Yeah. Because you're a player. Yeah. If you like what you're doing and you believe in it, you're going to perform it better. Yes. Correct? Yes. Yeah. So that's important. So I'll watch a game on TV, and I'll see something, and I'll go, that's something like, it's similar to what we do. But we can add this, and I always try to put people like I know all my players' strengths and weaknesses, so some of that stuff is always putting us, like we have Hallie get downhill.
Yes.
You know, so we have people that need a screen to get open, people that don't, and we need Mel's better on one block than the other, and so it's like when I see something, I pause it and I look back and go, that could work for us, because I can go, I piece it together and I go, but we're gonna add this to it.
Yes.
Or we're gonna be able to we're gonna run this set, but we can run it after we run this set, because that's gonna set them up for this, because they're gonna think we're doing it again, but we're actually gonna do this when we're wide open.
Yes.
So I love that part of the game. My mind is sharp on that. Some other stuff in my life, not.
Yeah.
But that stuff, I think that's one of my strengths. And if
Yeah.
I ever lose my creativity, and I lose the love for coaching, is when I retire.
Which based on the way that you're coaching right now, I don't see that being anytime soon, because
I'm not ready for that.
you're doing a great job still, Coach. I just want you to know that. But do you have anything in your back pocket heading into conference?
You always got to have that, because you play these people. So that's why, like every time we play Westmont, like we always have 2 or 3 new things we throw at them, because they know us so well.
Yes.
And it's always fun for me to run it and watch, and kind of like watch them look down there and watch them look through their notes, like we don't have that one.
What set was that?
And I'm like, well, and my girls love that too. They like, and I go, I'll put it in. Like, we saving this for Westmont? I go, yeah, we're saving this for Westmont.
Yeah, that's absolutely fun. And I think there's something missing about that, where it's just like the joy of like the small details, where it's just like, oh, we can outsmart them this game. Like, I think there's something missing with that in terms of like a lot of the players today, where they don't focus as much on the mental aspect of the game, not necessarily like for themselves, but just like the details. Like, oh, okay, if I'm literally 2 feet to the right, he's thinking it's something else, but if I'm 2 feet here, then I'm not going to be open. It's just those small details.
Well, it's funny you said that, because I got on my team today in practice. We went through some of the stuff that we didn't do, and I told them, like, I've been telling you all year long that every possession is important. I didn't have to go down to that.
Yeah.
Like for example, in that timeout the other day, I said, there's 7.9 seconds to go. They're going to throw the ball above the 3-point line. We have 2 fouls to give. After their first dribble, go up and be aggressive. And we also have possession. So we try to be aggressive and try to get a jump ball. Okay, because they don't have any timeouts left.
Yeah.
So if we foul them, they're going to have to bring the ball again. So we just lost 2 seconds, and we can do that twice.
Yes.
If they're just dribbling around and they're not doing anything, attacking, then wait and do that, and you can get a foul late. Then they got to bring it in again. Now we have another foul to give, and then next thing you know, it's good. And we didn't foul them, and we let them reverse the ball and throw it right on the post. I don't think she's going to play any more games. I think after the game we played, I think she just skipped that, and she skipped her 2 years remaining. She skipped the WNBA, and she went right in the Hall of Fame. I think we just put her right in the Hall of Fame in that one game. Yeah. So
I can tell that was a rough.
It's still new.
Yeah.
Still hurts. Yeah.
Oh man, that's.
Yeah, but we got to execute that stuff. So I was stewing on that for 36 hours, so I couldn't wait to get back in the gym and fix that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned back in the day, you had the potty mouth, right? Obviously now, but even then we still see, the Coach Davis, the foot stomp that Sierra.
Oh yeah, that's legendary. Yeah.
Coach Sierra, when you weren't there in Arizona, she did it, and she
played for me, and she's been my assistant. Yeah, she knows.
Yeah, so she did it, and she kind of panicked a little bit. She was like, "Oh my gosh, I did the Coach Davis foot stomp."
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to ask, in the heat of the moment, the frustration that sometimes happens, how do you mix that? Obviously, like, we're called to glorify God, right? So but you're in the heat of the battle sometimes. How do you bring your mind back and remember the big picture?
What I remember is I don't think we've ever had a bigger competitor and more competitive person than Jesus. So that allows me to make sure I'm still competitive, if you really think about it, right? So I don't do well when I keep things in and don't say them.
Yeah.
So that's why sometimes I just walk back and forth, and I say my little heckles and do that, because I get it out. I have to let it out, otherwise I'm going to blow up.
Yeah.
Okay. And when I don't do that, then my blood pressure goes up.
Yeah.
So that's never good.
No.
So, but I always want my teams to be competitive, because you have to be competitive. You can't play a competitive sport and not be competitive.
Yes.
So there is a balance there. I think the biggest thing for me is sometimes I just got to take a deep breath and know no one's out there trying to mess up.
Yeah.
No one's trying to do that. But I think it's also an opportunity to get us just a little bit more mentally tougher.
Yeah.
Because of our position and what we've done for the last 27 years, we're always everybody's big game, and we always have a target on our back.
Yeah.
So we have to be able to take that, especially this year. You guys saw we don't have a gym.
Yeah.
So we don't practice on campus. We're running around all over the place at all different hours. I mean, that was really rough.
Yeah.
Right? And it's affected us. So shooting, it was rough.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of how we persevered to do what we did, especially with having some people that got injured, didn't play that we thought we were going to play this year and make big impacts. So our team stepped up.
That's awesome.
But now you get here, now you want more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be complacent.
No.
So it's like, they know how competitive I am, and they know. But I also built a good relationship with them, so I think for the most part they don't take it personal.
Yeah.
There's a cool off period there, and then but I'm definitely intense, and I think when I'm not, they're like, "What's wrong, Coach? Are you feeling okay?" Yeah, because I want them intense too.
Yeah. You mentioned Kobe as one of your mentors. Is that competitiveness one of the things that you really got from him? Or you've always been competitive, obviously, but just like, what about what Kobe taught you, like, really is still evident in what you do today?
Work ethic and preparation, and holding everybody around you competitive. Accountable. Like he used to go over to either Irvine or the sports complex over there on game days, and they played up at the Staples Center. He would go there at 4 or 5 in the morning, and he'd make like 500 shots. Because he had to get back to be able to take the girls to school. So he found a way to get it done. He didn't have reasons or excuses. Nowadays, people find like, oh, I got to do this, and they push things off. And I remember one time he came and talked to our team. When he came in and showed us the triangle one day. We knew it, but he showed it to us like more in depth because that's what they wanted when they won the championships. And he was telling the girls, like, I asked him this question because I knew the answer, but I go, hey, obviously you're considered one of the greatest players of all time. What do you have to do to be a great player? And he says, you can't be a great player unless you're in great condition.
Yeah.
That's so true, because you can't play hard all the time. You're tired and it affects you.
Thank you so much, Coach Davis, for your time today. They're going to be playing in the GSEC tournament. By the time this airs, probably we'll know the result. But in the meantime, good luck, Coach, in that game. Thank you guys so much for watching the first ever episode of the Crossed Up Podcast, where we look at behind the scenes of basketball. Coach Davis, man, myth, legend, the first ever guest that we have on. And we're going to be getting a second episode out to you guys soon enough. So thank you so much.
Action.
Not. Okay. So you talked about